We begin in the nation's capital, where the Federal High Court has stopped the Independent National Electoral Commission from prosecuting suspended resident Electoral Commission of Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa-Ari, over his declaration of Aisha Binani as governor in the last governorship election. Justice Donatus Okorowo gave the order after the ex parte application brought by counsel to Aisha Binani, Mike Aonduaka. After listening to counsel to Yunusa-Ari, Justice Okorowo ordered the parties to maintain the status quo pending the hearing and determination of the matter of at the tribunal. The judge adjourned the matter until 18th of July for hearing. I have joining me on the news at 7 to discuss the court stopping INEC from prosecuting suspended Adamawa Reg and the federal government suits against Stella Odua over alleged felony is a lawyer, Pelumi Olajengbisi. Good to have you join us. So let me start with the case of the court stopping INEC from prosecuting Yunusa-Ari. And that was from a suit filed by the candidate of the APC in that governorship election, saying, look, if you prosecute that particular case, it is going to have implication on her own case at the tribunal. Let's get your legal interpretation of that.
Well, thank you very much. What the court has done is to grant an order of status quo ante bellum, which implies that parties are to stop with the state of affairs until no action should be taken until the matter before the court is determined. It is actually an inherent power on the court, that inherent powers of the court to restrain parties from carrying any action that can affect the process of justice. And so what the court has done today at the Federal High Court is to see that INEC is restrained from taking any action, preferring a charge against the suspended reg until the matter before the application before the Federal High Court, and of course, until the election tribunal matter is determined. However, you see, we need to also understand the fact that the responsibility and the powers to investigate and prosecute a person in Nigeria is actually derived from the Constitution. It's a constitutional power that cannot be restrained, that cannot be stopped by any court of law, because that power is given to all security agencies to investigate crime and to prosecute a person who is suspected to have committed a crime. By implication, the order of the court today did not expressly restrain INEC or Nigerian police force from preferring a charge against this particular person. But what the court is saying, because from the underlying factor, I mean, the epicenter of the argument in courts today is that if this person is charged before any court of law now, it will affect the value of the evidence to be provided before the tribunal. Having seen that the suspended reg is a star witness in the matter that is going on in the court. But then, so these are conflicting issues that must be looked into properly. The court has the power to order that the status quo ante bellum should be put in place. And if status quo ante bellum is ordered by court, all parties involved in the matter in the dispute must wait until the court decide otherwise. But the truth is this: we must appreciate the fact that the issue before the court, or the issue as it is now, is about criminal prosecution. The question is that can the court give an order to restrain the prosecution of a person that has been investigated by the Nigerian police force? I do not agree that this is possible. So this is a very serious issue, and that is why the court adjourned the matter till I think 16th or 18th of July, so that the application properly can be heard. This application was
and for the other parties to also prove why this application.
So there's a need for INEC and the AGF to come to court to actually join issues as to this argument to determine the position.
I wanted to ask you, and apologies for interrupting you, because we saw in the case of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal where APM had said, look, the APM just has one single petition, which is that of double nomination for the vice president. And the Supreme Court had already ruled on that. And APM said, look, we need to go and study that particular judgment before we come back, and pursue our petition. Is this particular case now at the tribunal going to have how it turns out? Is it going to have any implication at all on how, on the judgment, on the proceedings concerning the case of Yunusa-Ari when it eventually resumes?
Absolutely no, because the truth is that, you see, it is a tried principle of law that civil and criminal actions can survive their lives separately. And also, you need to appreciate the fact that election matters are time bound. So the tribunal has a specified period to close and determine all matters before the court. And so when we talk about the criminal trial, it's a long journey that must be dealt with in court. I understand the concern of the applicant today in court is to protect the sanctity of their evidence to be provided at the tribunal level. So it's actually two different things entirely. And I believe strongly, because we need to encourage a system that can allow our laws evolve and that can allow our institutions.
Mr. Lajigbesi, we have one more case to look at. What I was trying to say is the Aisha Binani camp are seeking what they're actually looking for, because they have two applications before the court. One of them is to stop INEC from prosecuting Yunusa-Ari. The other is to get an interpretation to a particular section of the Electoral Act. Now, how that Electoral Act is interpreted at the end of the day, will it have any implication on the case? Because it has again to do with Yunusa-Ari and what he did during that election. Will it then have an implication on his case?
Yeah, the court already now has informed the applicant to take that same matter to tribunal. What Aisha was looking for the court to carry out a judicial review and get interpretation of the section of the law as per our declaration as per winning the governorship election. But the court has simply said that this is a purely election matter. What the court is interested in right now is to determine the issue of prosecuting the suspended reg before the court. But the issue as to the interpretation of the law relating to the declaration of who won the election has now been sent back to the tribunal to be determined at the level of the tribunal.
All right, so let's talk about the last one, which is the case against the former minister, former cabinet minister and senator, Stella Odua. Many people are wondering, why now, and the implication of this as well. We've seen a lot of cases of forged certificates in the country. But talk to us about this particular one. Just give us interpretation as well.
Yeah, you see, there's no timeline to issue of criminal prosecution. The Nigerian police force or any law enforcement agency can come up with action against any individual who have been suspected to have committed a crime. But one thing we must all recognize is the fact that every Nigerian citizen is entitled to the presumption of innocence. And so until
we're speaking with Balumi,
the court determines the guilt or otherwise, she's been charged at a time like this does not affect, does not change anything. But one thing that is important that we need to understand now is that Nigeria needs to begin to look at all of our institutions and ensure that our institutions are effective. Because when you continue to have issues of forged results, issues of forged certificates, if we have a system where we can confirm if a particular certificate is genuine, I do not think we'll have a situation that someone will have to be facing challenges like this. So for me, I believe strongly that the Nigerian police force should be allowed, should be encouraged to do their job. And secondly, also, the person who has been charged to court should be given the benefit of that, should be given the opportunity to defend herself so that she can hold her honor as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And just finally, maybe in a minute, if you can speak to this for me, in terms of the screening process, whether at the party level or at INEC level, for elections, for appointments, even at the National Assembly, who would go through the confirmation process. What do you think, we can do more, even though she's still innocent and not been declared guilty? But for other cases like this, what more can be done to ensure that we have a better screening process?
Oh, this is very fantastic. And we must now appreciate the fact that the leadership recruitment system in Nigeria is actually poor and is very ineffective. Because ordinarily, I align with the fact that for anybody to be appointed or elected into any position, there are stages of, screening from the party level to security agencies level and all of that. So ordinarily, if we have a system that can properly checkmate data and correct facts the way they are supposed to be, I do not think we'll be in this kind of situation. It means that people who are saddled with the responsibility of checkmating and ensuring that the right thing is done at the right time. For example, if for example, anyone is at that level, is charged for forging a certificate and the person is found guilty, I think parties, individuals who have screened her through the ladder of leadership are also complicit, because it means that if the system has failed, it means that also people saddled with the responsibility to do all of the checks also have failed in their duty. I understand for a fact that for anybody to become a minister in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the person will go through security screening at the DSS level. The person will go through, apart from the security check, the person will have to go through a proper screening and confirmation process at the Senate. And ordinarily, why do we have the Senate? The Senate is there, they are being paid with taxpayers' money. So ordinarily, they should be able to carry out their responsibility diligently in a manner that the Nigerian government, the Nigerian police force don't need to use taxpayers' money to pursue or to prosecute anyone. Today, some people might liken the prosecution to persecution, might liken it to politics. This is because this person has gone through a process that should ordinarily have checked and to be sure that she has the required certificate.
Absolutely.
So, but for me, it is my opinion that at any point in time, when someone is faced with criminal prosecution or criminal trial, the person is allowed to give answers to all of these questions in the interest of the system.
Well, both cases, whether for Aisha Binani and Hudu Yunusa-Ari and that of Stella Odua are still in court, so wait for how the court would rule on this particular cases. Thank you so much for talking to us, as always, lawyer Belumi Olajigbensi.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. When we return, we'll have more stories. Stay with us.